We're hoping to take you now to the Premier of Mpumalanga, who's currently giving a briefing around 22 laptops that were apparently purchased by the Education Department at a whopping 2 million rand. Of course, that doesn't really square up, and I suppose he's trying to give his take on that. With that, let's listen in.
We have been fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective. The supplier did not comply with the terms of the purchase order and delivered laptops of a lesser quality than what was approved and paid for. The departmental officials irregularly specified the brand they required instead of the functionality, resulting in only specific suppliers responding to the issued request for quotation. The departmental officials regularly invited bids from a particular brand of suppliers and within the limited locality of Mbombela, despite the fact that it was required that they expand the scope to all suppliers of all brands provincial. The department accepted delivery of laptops not in accordance with the specifications. The initial specifications were varied without proper process by an official not duly authorized. The conditions specified by the bid adjudication committee to negotiate the price prior to the order being issued were not adhered to. Then the department procured laptops of similar specifications which could have been procured for a lesser amount had due diligence been applied. The process involved misrepresentation and possible fraud in that the supplier misrepresented to the department that it supplied the goods as per the award when it knew that the laptops supplied were not in accordance with the specification. Officials of the department misrepresented that a correct and proper procurement processes were followed. Officials of the department misrepresented that the correct goods were delivered when that was not the case. Officials of the department misrepresented that the amount paid was correct, due and payable to the supplier when in fact the amount paid was for laptops of inferior quality than those ordered. Officials misrepresented that the specification they developed was in accordance with user requirements when in fact they used a specification which was developed 2 years ago and not reviewed for the current procurement. Gross dishonesty in respect of the department and office of the Premier investigations. Certain officials acted in a grossly dishonest manner, in particular in that they conducted a departmental investigation into a matter in which they were implicated. They failed to make a full disclosure of their involvement and provided incorrect information during the departmental investigation. They misled both the Premier and the MSC by providing inaccurate information during the departmental investigation. The service provider acted in a grossly dishonest manner when attempting to cover up its failure to comply with the agreed specifications. It is important to remember that the department appointed a service provider to supply 22 daily XPS 15 laptops at a rate of 91,482 rands and 50 cents each, and one HP printer at the cost of 8,269 rand and 45 cents for 2 million in total. That is 2 million and 20,883 rand and 45 cents, inclusive of other accessories such as wireless mice and laptop bags. In this regard, a rough market scan of the prices of the 4 laptops, namely Dell XPS 13, Dell XPS 14, 15, and Dell XPS 16, indicate that the latter, which is Dell XPS 16, is the most expensive, and the Dell XPS 13 is the least expensive, as illustrated in the table. When we scan the market, for Dell XPS 13, if you scan the market, estimated resale price at 15% markup, the department decided to, on this one, I don't understand why they allow the service provider to give them 25% markup. Maybe the recommendation of the bid adjudication committee that they should have negotiated for a price. They were going also to negotiate for this 25% markup. But the normal markup is between 10% and 15%. But the department decided to go for 25% markup and 15% VAT, which this one's a normal process. So for Dell XPS 13, with the 15% markup, the total cost was going to be 59,200. Dell XPS 14, 64,579 rand and 52 cents. Dell XPS 15, it was going to be 66,095 rand, and for Dell XPS 16, it was going to be 73,189 rand and 68 cents. But here, cost per laptop, right from the beginning, the estimate from the service provider for XPX 15 has been 91,482 rand and 50 cents. Non-compliance with applicable prescripts. Departmental officials, including those who approved the procurement and those who are members of the committee which handled the procurement, failed to comply with CETA RFP 740-2020 engagement model and guidelines, which deal with the provisions of outright purchase for personal computers, mobile devices and services, and outright purchase of computer peripherals, consumables, and services for the government departments. Sections 38 and 44 and 45 of the PFMA, in that they fail to ensure that the systems of financial management and internal control established for the department is carried out within their area of jurisdiction. Sections 5, subsections 7A and 7 of the Public Service Act requires, amongst others, that a functionary shall correct any actions or omission purportedly made in terms of this act by that functionary if the actions or omissions was based on an error or fact or law or fraud, and is in the public interest to correct the action or omissions. Section 21 of the Prevention and Combating of Corruption Activities Act, in that certain officials aided and abetted the service provider to defraud the department. In terms of the recommendation, we intend to. I hope that you have been waiting for the recommendations. You want to know what is it that the government is going to do. In terms of our recommendations, we intend to immediately recover from the service provider any financial losses incurred by the department regarding the procurement of these laptops. We will commence with the process of blacklisting the service provider on the National Provincial Treasury Register for tender defaulters, as well as reporting same to SIDA. We will commence with the process of blacklisting the service provider on the National or Provincial Treasury Register for tender defaulters, as well as reporting same to SIDA. Service providers must know that in this province we will not tolerate defrauding of our institutions. There should always be value for money. We want them that when they make their riches, ourselves also, as people of Mpumalanga, should benefit. Institute disciplinary action against all implicated officials, all of them. We're not going to mention names on this press release, but we are going to institute disciplinary actions against all implicated officials, including the HOD, in line with the applicable prescripts such as, but not limited to, the Public Service Act 1994, the Public Service Regulations 2016, Public Finance Management Act 1999, and the Senior Management Handbook. Conduct lifestyle reviews on all officials of the department implicated in the report, which review may lead to lifestyle audit in line with the applicable prescripts. As a result of the investigations which raises questions regarding the governance of the department, it is necessary to conduct a governance review to establish the state of the department. To this end, a review will be conducted in terms of the following broad terms of reference. Review the functionality of the department, including its governance and accountability arrangement at all levels. Review the governance and accountability structures and processes and identify how governance is exercised within the department. Evaluate with reference to public service prescript compliance with and the effectiveness of governance arrangement within the department. Evaluate the quality of reporting to all relevant structures, including the Executive Council, the Legislature, and other statutory bodies. Evaluate the exercise of the specific powers and performance of the functions by any functionary at the executive level provided for in the applicable prescript. Establishment of a governance structure of a provincial team led by the senior officials from the provincial treasury, which will be assigned with the responsibilities, amongst others, identify and enhance weak internal controls regarding the procurement of ICT equipments in the department. Monitor compliance regarding the procurement of ICT equipment in the department for the 2024-25 2024-25 financial year, which will include but not limited to the procurement of laptops for school principals and procurement of laptops for circuit managers. Ensure that specifications are aligned with relevant functions and responsibilities. To report to South African police services any possible criminal acts, including but not limited to collusion, bribery, corruption, fraud, financial misconduct in terms of the Public Finance Management Act of 1999 and the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act 2004 and any applicable prescript. On the 30th of June 2025, a progress report will be made available regarding the implementation of all recommendations flowing from this investigation report. I thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Premier, for the comprehensive...
Right, these are live visuals coming to you from the Mpumalanga Provincial Government offices in Mbombela. In frame, there is Premier Mandla Ndlovu, who's releasing the much-anticipated findings of an investigation into the so-called Mpumalanga laptop saga. Essentially, if you missed the story, 22 laptops in the province, at least the education department, were purchased at a staggering 2 million rand. If you do the maths, it means each laptop costs just over 91,000 rand. And in fact, we're told this is way above the market price, even if there was a markup that was introduced. And so a number of recommendations have been given now. Well, let me start with the findings. Essentially, we're told procurement processes here weren't followed. The laptops were of an inferior quality. They were not accordance with the specifications upon which they were ordered. There's also been gross dishonesty, we're told, among officials who are implicated, which moves us to the recommendations, with government saying that they're hoping to recover the money that's been spent with the service provider. The service provider itself is going to be blacklisted both at a provincial and a national level, at least insofar as doing business with government is concerned. We're told there might also be lifestyle audits for those officials who are implicated. We'll continue, of course, watching what the implications are moving forward, but really staggering there. 22 million rand, I beg your pardon, 22 laptops bought for about 2 million rand.